Here's a really good short story or post about a young guy who handles himself like a boss by immediately dumping his girlfriend when she said to him, kid you not, right in front of her girlfriends, that basically, I had my fun with the hookups and all that type of thing, but now I'm ready to settle down for you. You know, someone that can be secure and available and all that. And he was like, boom, dumps her on the spot. And as you can imagine, she's not taking it too well because he was a part of her retirement plan. And they'll be going to go over here making the point, guys, that, as I've said countless times, by and large, the vast majority settle. And they'll settle for a guy that they're not in love with because he can put a ring on her finger, he'll propose to her, he'll marry her, give her, well, she'll get kids from somebody else a lot of the times, but anyhow, it looks like it's his kids because the bad boys, the guys that give him the tingles, aren't going to settle down and marry them, so they got to find somebody secure and also can pay the bills. And you got to be very careful, gentlemen, because otherwise you're going to be in a world of hurt because they have no problem using good guys. But every so often a guy might hear something like this and be like, boom, done. And it's important to learn from that. And that's part of the story. The other part, guys, is the comment section. The comment section, women are losing their minds attacking this guy because he dumped her for this because, well, they wouldn't want that to happen to them. So, titled, Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my girlfriend over saying I've had my fun? And a shout out to Gary for sending this in. It says here, I've had my fun and it's time for me to settle down. That's what she said that broke me instantly. This came after a group discussion with her friends that had to do with hookups. I asked her to clarify what she meant by that later, and she said that she's glad that she had her fun, the fun SCX, and with hookups, and that she's glad she can settle down with someone more secure and available. Oh, gee, thanks, honey. So she had all her fun and wild, carefree stuff, the good SCX, if you will, but now she met him, she got out of her system, now she can settle down. Yeah, no thanks. And she said that in front of her friends. Essentially cucking the guy. I told her that I basically find that extraordinarily offensive, and right then and there basically ensured that there would be, for the rest of our relationship, forever an imbalance. I rejected all hookups as I wanted to have SCX to be only for those that I loved, whereas she had a bunch of them, loved it all, and then settled for me, who she basically implied was a downgrade. It is a downgrade. That's what they do. In the prime physical years, yeah. Even a gal that's okay looking can get guys that want to tap them. But the good looking ones, never ending supply. And they don't want guys like him early on. They're not interested. But that's the guy to marry. And they marry and then they go back to having their fun because they can't get the tingles from the husband. Now, this guy deserves a gal if he can find one that's more aligned with his values. Well, she thinks it's absolutely insane that I'd leave her over this. But I personally cannot fathom staying. I mean, to put it quite bluntly, I felt like the biggest BIT after she said that in front of her friends. I think the relationship and the one you want to spend your life with should be the fun part. Thank you. Exactly. But again, he would be the world's biggest BIT if he stayed with her after she said all that in front of him, in front of her friends. You think her friends are thinking high and mighty of him? No. Maybe they're thinking, shit, I wish I got to him first to settle down with, but beyond that, no way. No way. Why would I want to stay in what would be basically an entirely one-sided relationship where she's reminiscing of the fun she had while I'm actively trying to make these great memories with her? I'm sorry, but F that. Yes, exactly, brother. F that. Why should I be happy knowing that other guys got the super fun, wild times with her after knowing her for a couple of hours, whereas I, the guy who's giving her my absolute 100%, gets the mediocre, tired version? How am I supposed to feel like I'm putting in 10 times the effort as these other guys yet receiving 1/10 of return? Right, let's put it down to basic math here. Because again, how many stories have I covered, guys, you've heard, where the husband or boyfriend or fiancé finds out that all the guys before him got all sorts of the freaky, and he gets the bare minimum. You know, she claims she never did this or wants to do this, and you find out that she was all doing all that with the other guys. It tends to bother them quite a bit. And that's what would happen here. I'm sorry, but I simply find that way of thinking simply incompatible with a long-term relationship, especially as someone who has never and will never give myself to someone casually. I just feel like there would always be a major imbalance. I mean, what's done is done already, but I'd love to know if this is an overreaction or not. Well, you can imagine, guys, when a guy like this, who obviously is in the category nice guy, or maybe, you know what, maybe he isn't such the nice guy because he's getting rid of her. But it's simply a guy who just had certain different values. Well, they're coming out with the torches and pitchforks. But he also says it's also not just about the sex, it's about how she views it. She's had her quote-unquote fun, now she wants to settle with me. I don't agree with that. I think the relationship is the fun part. I think getting in a relationship is when the fun should start ramping up and get more exciting. She obviously thinks it's the exact opposite. Well, that's how most of them think. Now the comments. Now I'm going to read some from guys that have his back and say things like I say, and some of the women giving him a hard time. And obviously there's an imbalance because there's far more women jumping in because they don't want to be dumped by someone like him. This first guy says here, she said the quiet part out loud, run. The BS wordsmanship about to settle or settle down is garbage and a distinction without a difference. Both expressions mean one thing, you are the backup plan. The 9-to-5 HR job in case the rock band doesn't make it big. The minivan with the backup cam after riding in Lambos for a decade. There's nothing good, rewarding, or hallmark she chose you how special above either of these expressions. Don't listen to any females trying to gaslight you on here. They know it's true and are trying to close the castle door before more truth escape. 100%. And I'm glad that guy said that because the whole comment section is full of women. Here's one from a woman. She says, you're seeing it as she's settling for you. I took that as she didn't settle for them, as she was waiting for someone like you. Yeah, she waited all those years in her late teens and 20s. And since she was waiting for the perfect guy to show up, she just had to have her fun with Chad and Tyrone and Julio and Ernesto or whatever. No, there were plenty of good guys like this, but she didn't want them then. It says, perspective, my friend. Look at the entire relationship, which perspective makes more sense. The perspective makes more sense is that she was having her fun and then getting out of her system now temporarily, and then when everybody else is going to get married, then looking for a guy like this. That's the freaking perspective that makes sense. But gals like this don't want guys knowing this because it ruins their plans. Here's another one from a woman, and she goes on and on and on. I only do part of it because I can only take so much of her bullcrap. This woman says here, you are overreacting. As many have said, but it's clear you came here to seek validation, not insight. No, the guy came to seek insight. You came for validation, honey. You refuse to acknowledge that you've completely misunderstood what settling down means. It's very apparent that you've confused it for settling, and given that this piece of what much of your ire is directed at, as is entirely unfounded, you are furious at something she plainly did not say. This is probably a lawyer. No, she meant exactly what she said. And we all know, any guy's been around the block or listens to stories like this enough times, you know what she meant. But again, this is another gal, and there's plenty more. I want to give him a hard time. He did the right thing. And last one, this is from a guy. We're going to end this on a high note with somebody with a brain. This guy says, you made the right decision. Don't listen to these people who say you overreacted. Your gut feeling is 100% correct, and the likelihood is that she would miss having some more fun with other guys at some point while she's with you, guaranteed. The fact that she said that in front of others is more than enough to tell you how she views you. Safe, not fun, not desired, and she definitely didn't respect you otherwise, as she would never make such a remark in front of others. Thank you. Exactly, that remark in front of others, no respect. At the minimum, she would have reframed it as, I'm just glad I found someone like you to settle down with, without mentioning having her fun. If a man had said that he used to spend $10,000 on vacations on girls to impress them and have a good time, but would never do that for his current girl because he's not like that anymore and has settled for her, these same people would be fuming at the mouth and telling how awful that is for her and how she should break up with him immediately and find someone that appreciates her. Perfect. Exactly. That's exactly what would happen. But anyhow, this is one guy. You know, maybe is your typical nice guy, but it's a nice guy that has some self-respect, at least when push comes to shove. So good for him. Continue your quest to find one of the better ones out there and all that. But guys, always be careful. If you're honest with yourselves, and you got to be honest with yourselves, you're going to invite pain. That you weren't that guy. You weren't the guy that they all chased after during the high school and college years, 20s and all that. And nothing about you's changed except for the fact that now you've worked hard and worked smart and you got a decent income and got resources and now they're paying attention to you. You must be very careful because a lot of times it's like this. Absolutely. Be careful, gentlemen.